I mean, I'm sitting in a Safeway parking lot watching my phone and realizing, oh my God, this might be real. I think Pete Hegseth just sent this group actual targeting information, actual sequencing of an attack.
Secretary Hegseth there saying that nobody was texting war plans. Given you were privy to this group chat, is that how you saw it?
No, that's a lie. He was texting war plans. He was texting attack plans. When targets were going to be targeted, how they were going to be targeted, who was at the targets, when the next sequence of attacks were happening. I didn't publish this, and I continue not to publish it.
Tonight, the new fallout over that security breach. U.S. war plans reportedly discussed over a messaging app. President Trump standing behind his team and downplaying the lapse as lawmakers from both sides of the aisle demand answers.
Hello and welcome to Liberal Breakdown. The truth is out and they can't hide anymore. The Trump administration thought they could keep their secrets buried, but now the cracks are showing. The Signal leak exposed them, and now even Republican senators are demanding answers. Let's break down how this administration got caught red-handed. So what happened? High-ranking officials in the Trump administration, including Vice President Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and even Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, were discussing sensitive military plans over an unsecure app, not in a classified briefing room, not through secure channels, but on Signal, an app with disappearing messages. And then came the biggest mistake of all. Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, accidentally added a journalist to the chat. And guess what? That journalist, Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic, saw everything. The attack plans, the targets, the strategy, even the internal disagreements. This was a massive security breach. Now, even Republican senators can't turn a blind eye to the recklessness. Senate Armed Services Committee Chair Roger Wicker says the Defense Department needs to investigate. Senator Lisa Murkowski went even further. She said if Biden's administration had done this, Republicans would be blowing their tops. And she's right. Imagine the outrage if this had happened under a Democratic administration. So how is the Trump administration responding?
Initially said he knew nothing about the scandal.
I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time.
But today insisted he stood by his team.
There has been no recognition of the gravity of this error.
Unfortunately for them, two of the senior officials on the chat group appeared before a Senate committee today, though they tried to downplay the security breach.
There was no classified material that was shared in that.
So then if there was no classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security.
Senator, I'll reiterate that there was no classified material that was shared.
Classified or not, war plans are usually considered top secret and as such are ordinarily only shared in person.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe are scrambling to claim no classified information was shared. But let's be real. Nobody is buying it. Senator Mark Warner called them out, saying their claims don't pass the smell test. And he's right. Why were they using Signal in the first place? Why weren't secure government phones being used? The answer? Because they thought they could hide their conversations. This isn't just about one mistake. This is a pattern of secrecy, sloppiness, and an administration that thinks it can play by its own rules. But here's the truth. They've lost control. The leaks are out. The investigations are starting, and for the first time in a long time, they can't lie their way out of this. So now the real question is, what happens next? Will the GOP actually hold their own accountable, or will they try to sweep this under the rug? One thing's for sure, the American people deserve answers. No more lies, no more cover-ups, and no more reckless endangerment of national security.
It could never been done on a text chain over Signal. It's just nuts.
What does it say about the competence
it says
of these
they're
officials?
reckless and they're careless.
How serious is it? Should heads roll?
It's terrible. And yes, people should be fired and people should resign. If people had even a little tiny bit of honor and sense of responsibility, then Secretary Hegseth would tender his resignation this morning.
Yes, I fully understand them. This shouldn't happen. But let's be honest. Are we really surprised? This isn't the first time something like this has happened, and it sure won't be the last. They should tell the truth and not hide it the whole time, because in the end, all the evidence will be found, and then there will be even more trouble for them than there is now. Let's take a look at what Goldberg has to say about this lying.
Because it felt like it was too confidential, too technical, and I worry, honestly, that sharing that kind of information in public could endanger American military personnel. But no, they were plans for the attack. And they were texted before the attack.
And there were things texted that you viewed as so sensitive, you did not even publish them in your report today.
I made the decision that the technical aspects of this, including what kinds of weapons packages, the attack sequencing, and so on, that's not necessarily in the public interest. What's in the public interest is that they were running a war plan on a messaging app and didn't even know who was invited into the conversation.
So Goldberg said this himself. This whole situation is beyond messed up. He admitted that there were actual attack plans being texted before the attack. And not just that, he made the decision to withhold certain details like weapon packages and attack sequences because it could endanger military personnel. Now, here's the real problem. It's not just about the leak itself, it's about what it exposed. They were literally running a war plan in a messaging app, and they didn't even know who was in the conversation. This isn't just reckless, it's dangerous. This isn't how national security should work, and the fact that they're acting like the leak is the biggest issue instead of what it revealed? Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order for your attention on the very important subject of election integrity. We believe that this executive order is the farthest reaching executive action taken in the history of the Republic to secure our elections. Among numerous other aspects of this executive order, this is going to cut down on illegal immigrants on the voter rolls, ensure that the Department of Homeland Security and the data that they have available is being fully weaponized to ensure that illegal immigrants aren't voting. This will include a citizenship question on the federal voting form for the first time. This executive order instructs the EAC to cut federal funding to states that don't take reasonable steps to secure their election. This calls on the Department of Justice to vigorously prosecute election crimes, particularly in states that we don't believe are in compliance with federal law around election integrity.
Let's talk about this new executive order Trump just signed. He now wants proof of U.S. citizenship for voter registration. Sounds simple, right? Well, not really. Because let's be real, this isn't about protecting elections. It's about making it harder for certain people to vote. And who do you think this will affect the most? Low-income communities, minorities, and elderly voters? People who might not have immediate access to the required documents or the time and money to go through bureaucratic hurdles just to exercise their basic right. Now, don't get me wrong. Every vote should be legitimate. But the thing is, there's no actual evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Election fraud. You've heard the term.
This is just another way to suppress votes under the illusion of election security. And let's not forget, this is likely going to face serious legal challenges. The Constitution guarantees the right to vote, and adding extra barriers without any real justification? That's going to be a problem in court. At the end of the day, democracy works best when everyone who is eligible gets a fair chance to participate. This executive order, it's a step in the wrong direction. What do you guys think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.